In 2010, a video game called Dante's Inferno was released by Visceral Games. In this action horror game, you play as Dante, a crusader who returns home from war to find his beloved Beatrice murdered and her soul taken to hell by Lucifer. Racked with guilt over his sins, including betrayal, lust, and violence, Dante descends into hell to rescue her soul and confront his own past. The combat is a fast-paced melee, using Death's scythe and a holy cross to attack demons. Dante journeys through the 9 circles of hell, fighting increasingly grotesque and symbolic enemies. You can punish or absolve damned souls to gain powers. The stages of this game are based on the 9 circles of hell. Each level is based on a sin: limbo, the lost souls, and undead infants. Lust, temptresses including a demonized Cleopatra. Gluttony, grotesque monsters and bile-spewing beasts. Greed, gold-obsessed enemies and twisted nobles. Wrath, burning anger and battles in the river Styx. Heresy has fire-filled catacombs and damned priests. Violence has torture chambers and brutal combatants. Fraud has illusions, tricks, and shifting environments. And treachery has the frozen hell and Lucifer himself. Dante eventually confronts Lucifer, who plans to escape hell using Beatrice's soul. Dante defeats him and gains some redemption, but the ending is ambiguous, hinting at the consequences still to come. Dante's Inferno is a dark, brutal reimagining of Dante Alighieri's Inferno, blending heavy combat and horror aesthetics with a mythological and religious imagery. It keeps the setting and symbolic structure of the poem, but replaces deep moral reflections with visceral action and spectacle. Dante emerges from a cave and finds himself at the base of Purgatory. Clearly, the next 2 games would be Purgatory and Paradiso. This video will offer how a second game could conceptualize the next sequel. Dante's Purgatory, the second part of the Divine Comedy, is an allegorical narrative poem written by Dante Alighieri. It follows Dante's journey up the mountain of Purgatory, guided by the Roman poet Virgil, after having passed through hell, or the Inferno. Purgatory is depicted as a mountain with 7 terraces, each representing one of the 7 deadly sins. Souls climb this mountain to purify themselves before entering paradise. The journey symbolizes the soul's path to redemption and spiritual growth. Dante and Virgil arrive at the base of Mount Purgatory, where they meet souls who delayed repentance. These souls must wait before beginning their purification. This paradigm sets up what I think the levels, enemies, and bosses would be. Each terrace of Purgatory cleanses a specific sin: pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, gluttony, and lust. In the game, we don't see Virgil with Dante in Purgatory, but the poem places him there, thus I will include him. Concepts for a sequel are out there already, but they focus on Dante fighting angels on his way up the mountain. To me, the logical next step would be to fight other souls on their way up the mountain. The purpose of Purgatory is to purge impurity through suffering. So as Dante makes his way through the terraces, he will struggle against other souls. There are some repeated themes in the terraces that mirrors the circles of hell. In the poem, as Dante ascends, he grows spiritually, shedding the sins that bind his soul. At the mountain's summit, Dante enters the Garden of Eden, where he meets Beatrice, and she takes over as his guide, and Virgil departs. So let's design Purgatory. In the last game, Inferno was a grotesque dreamscape with twisted demons and crazy-looking boss monsters. Purgatory is a place of patience, perseverance, and striving. Thus, each terrace should embody these themes in some way. Obviously, this would be a video game, so designing boring levels is counterproductive and wouldn't sell very well. Now, should we distort the narrative? Well, in keeping with the style of the first game, a sequel should unfold with the same action and energy. So let's begin. The first terrace would be the Terrace of Humility. As the first terrace of the mountain, it makes sense for Dante to begin his journey while still naked. Virgil returns to help Dante up the mountain. The intro cinematic would have the magistrate of the terrace tell Dante to cover his shame and give him a shabby loincloth. Next, the Stone of Shame is attached to a metal collar that is locked around his neck. This large stone is connected to the collar by a long iron chain. As Dante makes his way through a jeering crowd, he must drag the stone while being pelted by rotten fruit. Along the way, Dante will meet other souls climbing the terrace, and he can choose to help them, carry their burden, or pass on by. This choice will change the strength of the terrace boss. As Dante reaches the end of the terrace, he will face a griffin. His only weapon is his stone and chain. Once he defeats the griffin, it transforms into King Nebuchadnezzar. Virgil says, "This king was very prideful. Thus God changed him into a beast to teach him humility." Once defeated, Dante ascends to the next terrace. The second terrace is the Terrace of Chastity. When Dante enters the terrace, it looks like ancient Egypt. The room he is in has cushions and curtains. Suddenly, a woman enters and rushes toward a male servant. This is the wife of Potiphar. For those unfamiliar, she was a character from the Old Testament that tried to seduce Joseph. In this level, Dante would flee from the lustful woman, and if she catches him, his soul is lost. This level is a race, with the conclusion being a final combat with the succubus. The next terrace are the Fields of Temperance. As Dante and Virgil arrive, an arrow streaks past Dante's head and sinks into a tree. This level is a shooting gallery, with the souls here fighting the urge to kill and eat. The fields are filled with aggressive beasts, and archers are being gored. Dante must resist the urge to kill and eat while making his way to the end of the terrace. Once he arrives, he faces Esau, the archer. Virgil says, "Esau was a mighty hunter that sold his birthright for a bowl of stew." Dante is equipped with a bow, and he fights Esau. Once Esau is defeated, Dante moves on. The next level is the Terrace of Gold. Here, Dante enters the height of Israel's wealth under King Solomon. Virgil says, "King Solomon was the wisest man in history. Toward the end of his life, he imposed heavy taxes on the people. All of King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house were of pure gold. None were silver, for silver was considered as common as stones in the days of Solomon." Dante makes his way through the opulence while seeing other historical figures succumb to gold fever. These feverish fight Dante, thinking he is holding gold. Dante makes his way to the throne of King Solomon. The throne is surrounded by lions, and on King Solomon's right hand is a ring. This is the seal of Solomon, a ring that can summon and control demons. Dante fights Solomon, and when he is victorious, he claims the seal and moves on. Dante and Virgil enter the next terrace. This is the Swamp of Diligence. It is filled with the souls of the slothful that drain health and speed if they touch Dante. The bog makes movement slow. In the distance, Dante and Virgil see a man sitting on a rock. Virgil says, "In the distance sits Jonah, the disobedient prophet. He refused the call of God, and he was swallowed by a great fish." Just then, a huge sea creature emerges, and Dante must fight the beast using his bow, chain, or seal. After the great fish, Dante and Virgil travel to the Temple of Wrath. Here, Philistine soldiers and other souls are in a constant battle. Dante must fight his way through the temple to fight the boss of this area. Chained to two stone pillars is a man with long hair and a blindfold over his eyes. Virgil says this is Samson, the champion of Israel. His great strength destroyed many men, but his wrath had no end. This fight will be very difficult as Samson is immensely strong. Being blind, Dante must trap the 7 locks of Samson's hair before he can be subdued. Near the summit of Purgatory, Dante and Virgil enter the lands of exile. In the distance, they see an altar with a bloody corpse. Virgil says, "The dead man is Abel, the second son of Adam, slain by his older brother Cain. The brothers brought offerings to God, but Cain's offering was rejected. In his envy, Cain killed his brother. God marked Cain so that no one would try kill him. Now he, along with other envious souls, haunt this terrace until they can learn altruism. This terrace is a sun-blasted land. Souls here fight Dante, envious of everything he has. When Dante meets Cain, the battle is one of attrition. The battle ends when Cain finally confesses that Dante has done well. The final ascent to the summit ends with the Garden of Eden. As Dante approaches the eastern gate, he sees a massive angel. His body looks like burning coals. The angel has 4 wings and carries a massive flaming sword. The head is composed of 4 faces: a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. The head has no neck, and it is detached. It hovers over the shoulders. Each face, when positioned forward, grants the cherubim a different move set. Virgil says, "This is Jophiel, the guardian of Eden." It's at this point that Satan, in serpent form, reveals his presence to Dante and offers to assist him in the battle. Now, the player can choose to accept his aid, which will make the battle much easier, use the seal to trap Satan, or refuse and be forced to fight the angel and Satan. This trinary choice will yield 3 different endings. After the battle, Dante approaches the gate, but Virgil tells him that he is not permitted to continue. Dante thanks him for his wisdom, and the 2 part ways. Dante enters the garden and is reunited with Beatrice. Well, those are my thoughts. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know. Until next time.